The year Dad declared bankruptcy, I was signed away as collateral to the underworld's crown prince. On my 18th birthday, I'd finally worked up the nerve to confess to Sebastian. Then I overheard his lazy, mocking laugh. "She's just a little brat, why would I waste a single thought on her?" Later, when a makeout pic of him and some Hollywood starlet hit trending, I lost it and accepted a date with one of my Mia. The sweet lock had barely clicked when a brutal grip yanked me inside. The door slammed shut behind me. Hayes pinned me to the wall and yanked loose his silk tie without a word. "Scream louder, baby. Make the mutt outside bolt." Before we go on, please subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening. I first met Sebastian in my own great room. Dad had defaulted on his debts, and bankruptcy had gutted us. I'd crashed from pampered heiress to dead-broke debtor while Hayes already fled with his mistress, leaving the Hayes Lakeside estate stripped bare. I stood there, hair whipping in the wind, totally dazed. A loud clatter announced the invasion of a dozen bodyguards and one towering man dressed like old money. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, endless legs. A black overcoat draped his impeccably cut suit, cuffs rolled high enough to flash the dragon ink sleeve beneath. A metallic Zippo flared. Hayes parked his cigarette between his lips. Hayes looked me over like a wolf sizing up a lamb, pure Ravenport royalty. "Little girl, where's your old man?" My mouth twitched. I backed against the wall. "Hayes skipped town ages ago." Hayes cursed under his breath and stalked closer. A sinister smile curled his mouth as a vein-roped hand closed around my throat. 3 seconds, give me a reason not to kill you." My eyes went dinner plate wide. "Sure, you're ridiculously hot, but this is the 21st century, people don't just murder for sport, right?" Flat, broke and desperate, I batted my lashes. "I'm cute. I can be your girlfriend." Silence swallowed the room. I only wanted to survive, whatever it took. Hayes snorted, flicked 2 fingers. "Take her. With the brat in my pocket, the old bastard will crawl back." When I woke again, I was sprawled on a velvet 4-poster bed inside a palace of cold marble and steel. Hearing the door, I squeezed my eyes shut and faked sleep, eavesdropping for intel. The kidnapper was Sebastian, Ravenport's apex predator. Cross him and you clocked in at Hell's Factory. Apparently, Hayes planned to use me as a bargaining chip to force Dad home. Hayes didn't know Dad couldn't care less about me. His and my stepsister were all Hayes loved. Around 8 that night I surfaced, groggy, and found Sebastian perched on my mattress. Moonlight sliced across his profile as Hayes tilted my chin with a lazy finger. "Your daddy just stopped by. Says Hayes'll buy back your hide." After days of lone harassment, I'd finally slept, my brain rebooted too slowly. I mumbled, rolling over. A dry laugh cracked behind me. Then a silk tie and a dress shirt smacked my head. I jerked upright and collided with his naked torso, every carved ridge on full display. Before I could yelp, manacled fingers shackled my wrists and slammed me into the mattress. Wide awake now, I stared, horrified. "What do you think you're doing?" Hayes chuckled, voice a low vibration above me. "What do you mean, what?" "I'm fucking you." "No way, I'm walking away empty-handed." Tears flooded my eyes. I started to shake. His gaze narrowed, savoring the wet shimmer on my lashes. "How old are you, baby girl?" Crimson burned my cheeks. My answer sank into the pillow. "16. 3 heartbeats of dead air. Then Hayes recoiled as if scalded. A horsefuck ripped loose. "Are you shitting me?" Hayes towered over me, disgust icing out the lust in his stare. "Still smell like baby powder, grow some hair first, kid." Buzzkill. Grabbing his shirt, Hayes stormed out, door crashing in his wake. I stayed locked in Sebastian's compound for 2.5 years. Hayes bitched that my deadbeat father kept pawning worthless junk on him, finally dumping a live burden Hayes had to feed and house. Yet every outfit, every meal matched my former heiress standard. Hayes even enrolled me in an elite prep school so I could finish my education. Without him, I'd have dropped out long ago, hunted by Dad's loan sharks in some grimy back alley. Under his banner, no one dared lay a finger on me. Time wore the terror off his reputation. Apart from that acid tongue, the man wasn't evil. Like the time I tried to earn my keep, I served espresso to one of his guests myself. My hand twitched, scalding coffee cascaded over the guy's head. Turned out Hayes was the VIP negotiating a $300 million deal, Hayes took his money elsewhere. Sebastian's face went volcanic. Hayes hoisted me by the collar, threatening to chuck me out the window. Or the afternoon I decided to cook for him. I skimmed an online tutorial. Flames leapt a yard high from the cast iron skillet. By the time Hayes roared home from his downtown HQ, half the main house was belching smoke. Hayes dove through the haze, clamped my neck, eyes bloodshot, promising to strangle me and feed me to strays. Yet here I am, still breathing. Hayes cussed, I cried. Hayes made me copy pages out of a cookbook, and life went on. All his lethal threats were thunder with no rain. Every apocalypse ended in a slap on the wrist. Protected like that, my courage grew, and with it, a craving I shouldn't feel. Sebastian only ever told outsiders I was his niece. Since that first night, Hayes never laid another finger on me. A man of his stature naturally collected every species of willing woman. I lectured myself. Hayes is a ruthless playboy, what's to love? But once affection sprouts, you can't hack it down. Who wouldn't want to claim a man like him? By the 28th time I pretended to be sick just so Hayes would drag Sebastian home from his poker table. Hayes finally saw through the act. The bedroom door swung open. The man's silhouette filled the frame. I immediately launched into a wild coughing fit. His fox-narrow eyes narrowed further. Hayes stared at me in silence for a long moment. Only then did Hayes slide one hand into his pocket and stroll over with deliberate slowness. Hayes pulled out a straight-backed chair, parked it beside my bed, and crossed one leg over the other. See cough, cough. Sebastian, am I dying? I wheezed the words, voice dripping with manufactured frailty. His brows drew together. Hayes didn't answer. Instead, Hayes flicked open a cigarette pack, tapped one free, and lit it. The ember pulsed blood red at his fingertips as Hayes dragged in a lungful. Smoke spread like a veil, softening the sharp edges of his face until his expression was unreadable. After an age, his icy voice cut through the haze. Are you seriously convinced my private physician is just ornamental? Translation: Hayes simply been too lazy to expose me until now. Guilt pricked my conscience. Hayes sliced the air, cutting me off. Also, call me uncle. I braced myself on my elbows and blinked up at him, bright-eyed. But you're not my uncle. His lashes snapped up, his gaze locked on mine like a target laser. What exactly are you trying to say? The word reached my tongue just as his razor-sharp stare slammed into me, and courage shriveled. I shrank back, voice flipping mid-sentence. There's thunder outside. I'm scared. A frigid laugh rattled in his throat. Christ, you think I'm your daddy now? That I come running whenever you snap your fingers? Each syllable carried a sliver of ice. I dropped my gaze, fingers twisting the sheet into knots. I steeled myself, let my shoulders tremble, sniffled loud enough to be theatrical. A pitiful whimper crawled out of my throat. Here we go again. His tone held the last shred of patience, a warning growl. I'm telling you, if you dare to cry, I'll. Before Hayes could finish, I let out a loud roar, tears spilling as I scrubbed my cheeks with both hands. Hayes hissed in annoyance, crushed the cigarette out in a single violent motion. His tall frame loomed over me, the scent of tobacco still clinging to him. Hesitation flickered across his carved features, then his hand descended and brushed my hair, 2 perfunctory pats. Enough already. Low, resigned, the words were half soothe, half threat, and zero warmth. Little girls sure can bawl. I seized the chance, flung my arms around his waist, and buried my face against the hard ridges of muscle beneath his shirt, rubbing like a cat. Mom's gone. Dad doesn't want me. Woo-woo, you're all I've got left. His body went rigid, his breathing thickened. The hand that had rested on my head fluttered uncertainly, then settled between my shoulder blades, patting once, twice. At last Hayes muttered, voice muffled, a reluctant concession. I was too harsh. Stop crying. Good girl. I don't want to be his niece anymore. I know Sebastian better than anyone. Cold armor, molten core. After Dad shamelessly vanished and the family fortune imploded, Sebastian, out of sheer mercy, never threw the orphaned me out on the street. Bound by some private moral code, Hayes never laid a finger on me while I was still underage. But I'm 18 now. Maybe Hayes doesn't need anything, but I have something to give and I want to give it. The 18th birthday gala Hayes threw for me tonight is a dazzling spectacle, every inch wrapped in the stars Hayes ordered lit for me alone. And I've decided, tonight, beneath that sky Hayes ignited, I'll slice open the heart I've kept sealed. I'm standing outside the antechamber, hand poised to push, when his voice drifts through the crack, his, and another man's. His buddy's tone is playful. Wow, you're really spoiling that kid. Thought you were raising a daughter? The voice tilts, turns suggestive. Or, the guy nudges Sebastian with an elbow, eyes sparkling with mischief. Could it be our CEO crosses fishing for bigger fish? Through the gap I see Sebastian lounging on the sofa, a cigarette clamped between his fingers. Hayes flicks ash lazily, exhales a thin ribbon of smoke that veils his perfect profile. A soft, scornful chuckle escapes him. Ha! She's just a brat. What interest could I possibly have? My lungs freeze, my fingertips go numb. All day my chest feels caved in. That night I curl on the mattress, tossing, Sebastian's frosty brat echoing on loop. No, wrong. Hayes never said Hayes doesn't like me. Hayes just still pictures the pigtailed kid in a school uniform. Hayes hasn't realized I've grown up, that I'm 18, heart blazing for him. Lightning idea. I remember the folder I once glimpsed on his computer. I rush order a silk slip that mimics the style Hayes saved, low neckline, barely there straps. The package arrives after midnight. I shimmy into it. The mirror shows someone new, dangerously seductive. I draw a shaky breath and knock on his study door. Who? His baritone comes through, edged with impatience. Uncle, it's me. I'm busy. Talk tomorrow. Rejection, clean and merciless. Okay. The courage I'd inflated leaks out like a punctured balloon. Back away now, next time. Will I ever manage this much nerve again? No. Can't retreat. I yank the door open instead. And freeze. Hayes is pinning a perfectly made-up woman against him. Kissing her like oxygen is optional. Our eyes collide. The air turns solid. Hayes jerks upright, lashes fluttering once. When his gaze rakes over me, something dark and unreadable flares, gone in a blink. Who told you to dress like that? The woman loops an arm around his neck, throws me a look sharp with provocation. Mr. Cross, who's the kid? Impatience flickers across Sebastian's face. Hayes shrugs her arm off, flings a credit card onto the desk. Get lost. She mutters a curse, snatches the card, and clacks out on stilettos. Sebastian drags in a lungful of air, braces against the desk edge. Hayes tugs his tie loose, ink-dark eyes pin me, icing the room. I clutch the silk hem, step forward, voice cracking. Sebastian, I like you. Hayes let out a low laugh, sounding anything but surprised, his tone lazy, almost bored. The line of people who like me stretches all the way to the Bund. I said nothing, so Hayes added, You're a kid, what are you doing playing grown-up games of love and heartbreak? I'm not a kid. I tipped my head back to look straight at him. Hayes looked away. In my eyes you are, and you know how much all. Before Hayes could finish, I rose on my toes and kissed him. Sebastian's lips were soft, fragrant. Startled, Hayes stared down at me, then shoved me away. The very tips of his ears flushed a faint pink. His brows snapped together, hawk-sharp eyes slicing over me before Hayes jerked his gaze free. Hayes snatched his suit jacket from the office chair and wrapped me in it, tight and thorough. This time I'll assume you're clueless. Hayes pinched the collar, lifting me half a step off the carpet. From now on, shelve every childish little scheme. Got it. I stared at the slide of his Adam's apple. My gaze drifted lower, to the sudden strain creasing the front of his trousers. Then I met his eyes again. But why? You obviously. His pupils contracted sharply, his knuckles popped against the wall until the fabric hissed. All that proves is I'm a functioning male. Mia, don't mistake a man getting hard for a man falling in love. Hayes released me so abruptly I staggered back several steps, my eyes stinging with useless tears. Why can everyone else have you, but not me? I lifted a tear-soaked gaze to him, voice sinking smaller and smaller. Couldn't you, just like me a little? Hayes raised his lids and looked down at me with cold finality. Not possible. Not in this lifetime. After a stretch of deathly silence, Hayes straightened, towering above me. Listen. If you intend to keep living under my roof, behave yourself and finish school. Then, Hayes looked away, voice gravel low. You'll go wherever the hell you're meant to go. After that night, Sebastian didn't set foot in the house for a full 2 weeks. No matter how sick or sorry I pretended to be, it made no difference. To spite him, I went bar hopping with classmates, drinking until past 3. When the liquor had loosened every knot in me, my phone lit up with 3 big letters. Big Bad. Sebastian's voice on the line was a controlled explosion. "Where are you?" The alcohol evaporated in an instant. I answered with a guilty stammer, I'm at home." A cold laugh crackled back. "You walk down, or I come up." I flinched and peered through the window. A Maserati idled at the curb, hazards slicing twin blades of light through the rain. Supported by a friend, I tottered downstairs and collapsed into the passenger seat. I clutched the seat belt, sneaking glances at the rigid line of his profile. Face thunderdark, Sebastian drove in silence all the way to the Cross estate. When we stopped at the main house, Hayes hooked my stilettos in one hand and slung me over his shoulder with the other, carrying me upstairs. Hayes tossed me onto the velvet 4-poster bed and lit into me again. "That dump is where you belong." Running wild now, I looped my arms around his waist, limp and clinging, half-conscious. "You don't care about me anymore. I'm so miserable. Sebastian. I really, really love you. Don't leave." I adored him, needed him, wanted him. With alcohol and longing tangled inside me, I confessed without restraint. I dimly remember him bending to kiss me, from mattress to coffee table, then to the mirror in the bathroom. Just as everything threatened to spiral out of control, I heard a sharp crack. Hayes slapped himself. I woke next morning fully clothed. When I dialed his number, endless busy tones answered. That afternoon the gossip sites detonated. Photos of Ravenport's crown prince Sebastian strolling and making out with Hollywood's latest it girl flooded every feed. Giselle isn't just an A-lister, she's the Voss heiress. I heard the Voss and Cross clans are arranging a dynastic wedding. Prince of Ravenport meets Queen of the West Coast, match made in heaven. Honestly, they look perfect together. I'm not even shocked. Heart twisted, I called him dozens more times, still no answer. His assistant's reply never varied. "Mr. Cross is in a meeting." The last ember of sanity burned out. I dodged layers of security and burst into his downtown HQ. When I shoved the heavy walnut door aside, Hayes was signing a stack of contracts. Hayes closed the folder with deliberate calm, eyes lifting to me, winter cold. Hayes signaled the guards to leave. The cavernous office became a private battlefield. "Is it true?" My voice shook so hard I could hear it. "Is what true?" "The engagement." "Yes." I stepped close, catching the costly cuff of his jacket between my fingers the way I used to. Tears brimmed, glittering, as I gazed up at him. "Sebastian, don't marry someone else. I'm begging you." Frost filmed his gaze. Nothing moved him now. "Stop the theatrics. Go home." "No." I clung harder, voice scaling up. "Are you sacrificing yourself just to make me give up? Why would you rather wed a woman you don't love than accept me?" With a precise flick Hayes freed his arm, leaned back into the leather sofa, and tapped a slow rhythm along its armrest. His stare pinned me, sharp and lucid. 1. Don't flatter yourself. 2. Who says I don't love her? 3. With or without her, I'd never take you. His eyes swept my face, tone lethally calm. "Because you're simply not my type." "I don't believe you." Hayes said nothing. I sobbed harder, no act this time, only raw pain. His brows twitched. Hayes looked away. Through a blur of tears I spotted the corner of his desk and the pile of scarlet invitations stacked there. Gold foil lettering screamed his name and hers. A nameless blaze scorched every last thread of reason. I lunged, snatching handfuls of those bleeding red cards, flinging some, shredding others. "Mia." His thunderous roar was lost in the whirlwind of torn paper. Silence crashed down. I stared at him with wide, defiant eyes, sensing the lethal edge of his fury. Crap, Hayes was truly angry now. I spun around and tried to bolt. A brutal, unyielding force yanked me back, and I stumbled straight into his chest. One hand manacled my wrist, the other lazily loosened his silk tie. His apple rolled, shadow eclipsing me like a falling sky. His low voice was terrifyingly calm, each word hammering the dead air. "Have I spoiled you a little too much?" Hayes signaled bodyguards to haul me out. Rain was pouring. I refused to move. The bodyguards surrendered, produced a phone, and Sebastian's glacial baritone sliced through the downpour. Give her the umbrella. When she's cried herself dry, put her in the car. The last spark of hope drowned, I rode back to the Hayes Lakeside estate. That night the cook served dinner. One bite and I gagged it up. No hunger strike. I locked myself in my room and attacked a bag of chips instead. Past midnight Sebastian returned. Footsteps echoed outside. I frantically hid the snack evidence. The door swung open. I curled on the sofa, purposely blind to him. Hayes paused on the threshold, one hand in his pocket, sweeping me with an indifferent glance. His tone carried a wintry edge. New tactic. Starving yourself to death. I stared at the floor, mute. Hayes stepped closer, cedar and male heat rolling over me. Warm fingers closed around my wrist. I lifted my gaze, confused, watching his back. What are you doing? Hayes hauled me upright, brooking no refusal. Taking you to eat. I shrank away. I'm not eating, kill me and I still. Hick. Damn it, a traitorous burp. I slapped a hand over my mouth. Sebastian froze. Hayes turned, eyes murky, studying me for a long beat. Then his gaze dropped to the trash can crammed with candy wrappers. A low, knowing grunt escaped him. Hayes released my wrist and pivoted to leave. Don't go. I flung my arms around his lean waist, plastering myself to his back. My voice cracked, raw and pleading. I really can't live without you, don't leave me alone. Shame gone, I slid my palms over the hard slabs of his chest and clutched tighter. I've grown up. I can give you whatever you want, just don't abandon me. I gazed up at him, eyes burning. His chest rose and fell heavily, breath thickening. I felt the furnace of his palm. For once Hayes didn't shove me away. Instead Hayes threaded our fingers and exhaled. Turning, Hayes unconsciously traced slow circles on the back of my hand. Restraint etched his face as Hayes spoke. I'll admit it, I've imagined having you, more than once. Heat scalded my cheeks. Couldn't Hayes be less crude? His gaze flickered, voice sinking lower. But you know what I am. No weddings, no relationships, no promises. I've had more women than you'd believe. I'm tainted. Hayes paused, softer now, deadly serious. Sebastian ends right here. I'm no white knight, but you're just starting. I don't do forever, and I'm years older. If I laid a hand on you, I'd be lower than scum. I don't care. I just want to stay with you. I care. His brows pinched. Whatever Hayes meant to say died unspoken. Hayes brushed tears from my lashes with his thumb. Finish school, find some nice guy, fall in love. I'll bankroll a Hayes family dowry, marry you off in style. I stared, stunned. Hayes actually planned to walk me down someone else's aisle. Hayes truly felt nothing for me. I covered his hand with mine, desperate for its warmth. Eyes falling, I surrendered. Okay. Life slid back into routine. School, homework. If Sebastian came home early we shared silent dinners. Otherwise I dodged him, eyes averted. Yet Hayes haunted every thought. To escape, I poured myself into campus life. On club recruitment day I met Ethan. Sunlit crowds, white shirt glowing, Hayes looked like campus royalty. Where Sebastian smoldered like a blade, Ethan smiled like spring breeze. Hayes mentored me through club paperwork, smuggled iced cokes onto my desk, even detoured to escort me home. After a shower the oak-lined drive glistened. Ethan strolled beside me, voice hushed, ears pink. His knuckles brushed mine, jerked away, then ghosted back. Just as the last inch of air began to vanish. Splash! A black sedan plowed through a puddle, drenching us. Ethan spun instinctively, shielding me. Mud soaked his shirt, clinging to lean muscle. The car braked hard. Fury locked my fingers around my bag strap until the window glided down. The profile in shadow froze my lungs. Mia, you okay? Ethan jogged over, following my stare to Sebastian. I swallowed. This is my uncle. Cameron offered a polite smile. Nice to meet you, sir. Sebastian's slanted gaze raked over Ethan, flicked to me, empty of heat. Then, curt and cold, get in. I obeyed with a timid okay, and waved at Ethan. See you tomorrow. Sebastian rarely came home this early. Silence crushed the car. Since that night an invisible wall stood between us. Hayes spoke at last, voice gravel. Got yourself a boyfriend? Hayes is just a classmate. Potential boyfriend. Then, there really isn't. I worried my sleeve, lost. Something felt off, but I couldn't name it. Better stay that way. A cold snort, eyes on the passing mansions, then the quiet addendum. Short, stick-thin arms and legs like some pretty boy. Ethan is a solid 6 foot, varsity built, perfectly proportioned, yet in Sebastian's mouth Hayes turns into stick-thin. It's just that Sebastian himself is too tall. To him everyone looks like a bean sprout. Your job right now is to study hard, not daydream about nonsense. Another of those stuffy, old man lectures. Hayes is only 28, yet Hayes talks like some fossil of a parent. The thought that Hayes'll be engaged in half a year twists my stomach. I clench my fists and shove the words right back at him. I don't need you running my life. Silence slams through the car. I feel the icy stare from the driver's seat and brace for another scolding. But Hayes only swallows, saying nothing. Only an idiot hangs from one tree. A sunny, gorgeous, gentle senior. Why wouldn't Hayes smell like heaven? Part crush, part spite, I quietly start dating Ethan. Why quietly? Because Sebastian regards Ethan with an animosity Hayes can't explain. There's something off in that kid's eyes. Stay away from him, no early dating. I'm legally an adult, who says I can't? 1 minute Hayes claims Hayes'll marry me off, the next Hayes bars anyone from coming near. Ridiculous. After school one day Ethan walks me to the corner and suddenly stops. His ear tips flush as Hayes tilts my chin and drops a featherlight kiss on my forehead. Mia, think of me. His breath is warm, carrying a trace of peppermint while Hayes carefully gathers me into a hug. My heart is thumping when I crash into a pair of storm-dark eyes. I jerk my head up. Sebastian stands 5 yards away, fingers wrapped around the half-open glass door of the boutique hotel, feet rooted like nails. His gaze locks, unblinking, on me, held in Ethan's arms. Sebastian strides over, every inch radiating frost. I stumble backward. Uncle, Before I finish, Hayes seizes my wrist and tows me home without a syllable. Ethan is left gaping in the wind. I've never seen him this furious. Hayes actually smashes the vase on the coffee table. Has your brain short-circuited? You seriously like that type? I'm a little scared, but I'm not backing down. So what if I like him? Hayes is good to me, nowhere near as bad as you say. His voice ratchets higher. Hayes jabs a finger at the front door. Are you insane? What spell did Hayes cast? I'll go cripple him right now. You believe me? Stop yelling. You won't be with me, yet you won't let anyone else near. Make sense? I don't care. I like him. Truth is, I don't like him that much. I just refuse to lose this fight. When Sebastian hears that, the flames in his eyes drop to the brand new plush toy in my arms and Hayes snatches it. Haven't I given you the best of everything? A dumb stuffed animal buys you off and you swoon, embarrassing. I rise on tiptoe to grab it back, but Hayes pins me down. We're both students. What's wrong with a plush toy? Why do you hate him so much? I said no. I simply despise that kid. If Hayes lays another finger on you, I'll roll him under the wheels 800 times, try me. I bite my lip, tilt my head while staring at the sparks in his eyes. Sebastian, are you jealous? Hayes freezes, clarity flickering through his gaze, brows knitting. Jealous? Who do you think you are? Hayes turns and casually hurls the plush toy onto the sofa. Me, Sebastian, do something that childish? Ridiculous. Do whatever you want from now on, I can't be bothered. Buddy, you sound seriously rattled. Can't be bothered, fine. On Valentine's Day I dress up to the nines. I date Ethan from afternoon till night. Then I text Sebastian. Uncle, I'm not coming home tonight. No reply, so I add a sticker. A red exclamation mark pops up. Damn, Hayes blocked me. So I really don't go back. The boutique hotel's lighting is dim, seductive. I hook my arm through Ethan's as we walk the corridor. His fingers brush the keycard. The metal lock gives a soft beep. In the next second, a hand shoots from the shadows, iron fingers clamping my wrist, yanking me into darkness. The door slams in Ethan's face. My back hits the entry wall. Before I can yelp, Sebastian cages my jaw and kisses me hard. Fists pound outside. Mia, Are you okay? Uncle Cross, open the door. When I'm nearly breathless, Hayes releases my mouth and drags hot bites down my throat to my collarbone. Sebastian. I'm shaking from the sting, but Hayes clamps my hips and pulls me flush to him. Scalding breath grazes my ear, his voice ragged. I'm King jealous. I picked you up, I raised you, who said you could belong to anyone else? A copper cross on his chest swings wildly. The rims of his eyes are red as Hayes snarls, baby, say it louder. Tell the mutt outside to get lost. Recite the socialist core values out loud. Patriotism, dedication, integrity, friendliness. When I wake again, I'm curled in Sebastian's fever-warm embrace. Groggily rubbing my eyes, I brush something icy. I focus. A diamond solitaire grips my ring finger, shards of light glittering even in the gloom. Surprise hasn't left my eyes before Hayes chuckles softly. His apple rolls, a sated beast surveying the prey Hayes coveted forever. Hayes toys with a strand of my hair, kissing it almost reverently. I've never promised anyone anything, never planned to be responsible. His gaze is spring water gentle. But now I want to tell you, I'll make you the happiest woman alive, my one and only wife. His fingertips slide from my hair to my chest, then cover my hand and press it solemnly over his heart. Here was empty for 28 years, now it begs you to fill it. Baby, marry me. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked the video, please like and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments, feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time.